All right, guys, Sam back with you here on Tuesday, July 31st. We're going to finish up here with the second traditional asset as we're here on a traditional Tuesday. As I always remind you, we put this to a vote and let the members decide what's going to get analyzed here in video. And next up, we had a request for cocoa futures. Now, I should point out here that I don't personally trade enough on the ICE exchange to pay for that data. So I have end of day data only. So we can only look at the daily and above. Interestingly, we don't need anything beyond that. So let's just take a look here. So what I've got here is the 3-day of a continuous contract of cocoa futures. All right, I'm going all the way back to the 2001 low here and going through what appears like a wave 3 high here at 2011. So that's, 11-year trend. So you think to yourself, oh, come on, man. Why do I care? That's not going to be technical, a 3-day chart over a 5-year period. Well, let's just take a look. So from that low, looks like I've got a decent contender here for a 1 wave. So, all right, 1 wave's in. We're looking for a 2, so anywhere from the 50 to the 786. What do? All right, we go right to the golden zone. Twice. And as a matter of fact, we dip into it twice. They liked it so much here in 2004, they came back a year later to give it a tap here in 2005. So from we get a 1. So you can see a 1, 2, 3, 4 double top into our pivot up here. Come down for the 2. All right. Well, so here's first target. We get that. They actually get second and ends up in between third and fourth target here. So again, as I've shown God knows how many times now, algos get paid. They get all the way to second target and they get the reaction there. So here it looks like this. You had a little reaction here. It looks like they tried to get second target here and then we had the big reaction, but finally they get it. So we look at that and say, okay, well, there's a 1, 2. It would appear, so I'm not going to make this the 1618, which we know the negative 100 would be right on top of that. We're not going to make it. And now that we've had this, now we can go back. This is the benefit of some hindsight here, but it doesn't really matter in terms of where we're going right now as we work to the hard right edge. So if that's a 1, 2, and I'm going to finish here for a 3, I've already overlapped. Well, here's my candidate for a 4. Now, interestingly, here's all I've done is just wick off some prior resistance here that seems to have come in rather nicely to the tick. Now, note as well over here that as we come down here, we have this low volume node. So market doesn't like it here. So we don't have acceptance. So it comes down, taps, and then we move back away to where the market does like it. We have more acceptance. We have buying and selling. Lots of buying activity here. Here's our point of control. Now we're looking over a very long period of time. So we look here and you think, okay, well, I wonder if that pivot was technical. Some of this, so we, of course, just grab a pitchfork. And I know you're thinking, no way that it has any relevance on a 3-day chart. That wouldn't be useful to us. So what do we have here? On the 3-day chart of cocoa, we have a golden corner pocket. Right there, all right? So it just taps in. Where do we go? All right, we know there's, if that holds, 80% probability of making the median line, and we get it right there. Now, that's 2005. We don't get there until 2008. Could you have held for 3 years? You got paid if you did. You got paid rather nicely. So even here on a 3-day chart of a continuous cocoa contract, think algos are in here? Right, that's not happening randomly. They get paid there, so we've got a decent contender here. So it looked like at that point it could have been 1, 2, 3. Well, we overlap here, so we don't have an impulse any longer, and it would be hard to get an impulse into that. So it looks to me like what we've got is a diagonal. So I get a big A, B, C, and it looks like I finish with a diagonal as well. You can see that from right here if I grab this here. So it looks like we get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish that diagonal in here. So a couple of different ways to look at that. That being our candidate here for a wave 3. Now note a failure to make the median line here, sign of weakness as the market then rolls over. So with that established, well, now it looks like we've got a fairly decent ABC going in here. And again, as we note this, so right? So we think, okay, wait a minute. Now it's a diagonal. I know in a diagonal, whether I'm looking at a 5-minute or a 3-day, I'm looking for a relationship, some sort of technical pivot between from the start of the wave 1 through the 3 high, looking for something at the 4 that would be technical. So doing that very process here, grabbing let's get it right on there, my wave 1 low, what do? Right to the golden zone. All right, so from this pivot here, well, look here. So we come down. Here's the first visit to the 618. And we get this reaction. They can't get up there, back down. Now we're going to visit. We're going to go into the golden zone. And then here's a potential. Here's that algo target, right? So they defend it here. Defend it again. Almost breaks, but they've got some push off of that. So sitting here on this 3-day chart here with this established, that looks to me like we've got a decent candidate here for a diagonal. So knowing that, so again, it's just to reiterate here, if I go from this to this, right? So here would be the algo target. So we might, there's a couple other things we might do looking at this. So with that ABC in, now we got to look at that and say, well, how are we going to get there? If we're going up there, how are we going to get there? Well, we're going to do a diagonal. No, we might. This looks like we might have an A wave started. We could just be doing this. We could just be doing the 1 wave here. So we could, actually, let's go down to the daily. This will be easier to spot. All right, so we'll go back to our daily. Here's our C tagging the 65. So coming out of this, looks like we might. Let me open this up. Might have the start on a 1 wave going in. We can't say for sure just yet, but it's certainly a candidate. So let's break it down. So this looks like we might have 1, 2, 3. Now we've overlapped, so we have a diagonal going into a 5. That's a candidate there. Well, let's just as we did previously with this. Now I guess with this established, I can pull this off as we move over here. So we go 1, 2. We come down here and look. So this prior resistance. Potentially now we've got a little support kicking in here. Well, let's just measure it. So we take it from the low here, the beginning of the 1, up to our, do I get it right there? Up to our 3. Looks like we go right to the point of control. So what does that leave us? What do we do? Right to the 618, to the tick. And it looks like I've got a fairly decent ABC in here. It looks like I've got an ABC. Now I can't dig into that. Let's get this lined up here. So because I can't go intraday, because of the data restriction, because I can only get daily, but I don't need it. So let's go down here. We'll go sub micro here. So we've got a candidate here for the start now of our 5th wave. We don't know where that's going to go, but this is a candidate here. So we potentially now have a 1, 2, 3, 4 going in. We're trying to get up here to a 5. Well, that's not going to do much for us if we get up there and we can't get to a new high. Let's put this back together here. See, we've got let's bring it up here. So here's our wave 3 high. Well, if we're going to do it with a 1 here, if this is going to go up, that's just going to give us our 1 wave. So we're looking for much higher prices. So we'd want to see something like this if we're going to get up here. And depending on what it looks like, maybe we're doing an ABC. Then we're going to come down here into something like this, and then we're going up. Again, this is just hypothetical here. We don't know what's to come, but that's the route here that I would see for us to get up to a new high. If we're going to get there, whatever we're doing now, likely just the 1 wave. Now I'm making some assumptions here. First assumption is that this pivot holds, and this is not just an ABC before we go down here to break the prior lows. If we do, this count is invalidated. But as it sits right here, that's perfectly viable as I'm sitting here recording this. What are we, 2238? Perfectly viable. We sit here right at this wave 1 pivot. And we're holding the 618. Why do I like that as a buy? Well, we could certainly buy it right here, stop on the other side of the 65. If you're just using the algo target, so if we're stop here on the other side of the 65, we know this market is respecting the 65. I've got a 12-to-1 risk reward there, just on this first swing, just on the first assumption. Not talking about getting up here where you'd have 23-to-1. Let's just talk about the first algo target off the daily chart. That's going to take a little while to get there. That's not going to do that in 2 weeks. Shit, anything's possible, but it's unlikely that that's going to get there. So just eyeballing it here. That's 2019. So the question is, do you want to park some margin capital here to hold that trade for that distance of time? Well, if you had done it previously, you certainly got paid. You certainly got paid well. I think if I recall, this was technical as well. Just back here, just real quick, I just spotted this. Okay, so here was our. So again, you see this tendency here for diagonals in cocoa. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I don't know how that happened. Okay, so from this swing low to my wave 3, we come to between the 50 and the 618, and we go up. Looks like this is a front run on that target. So that's technical as well. So looking back here now as to where we sit, yeah, that's just a question you have to make for yourself. It's very relatively low risk, right? Although cocoa is $10 a tick, so it's not inexpensive to trade, but certainly if you're on, so you'd want to be tight with that risk there. So I'd be just under the 65. You might give it a little more cushion than that, not too much more. Then you got 11 to 1, roughly 11 to 1 potential right there. If you can sit with it and keep that capital allocated there to hold that margin. That's something to just buy it, park it, leave the stop. If you get some traction pushing away from this 618, as it looks like it's attempting to do right now as we sit here on the daily, we start to push away from that, then you just tighten up the stop. Then you're sitting with a break-even trade, and if it takes a year to get there, it takes a year. What's your risk? You have zero risk. You just have the opportunity cost of parking some capital there for the margin requirements to hold cocoa futures. So it's not for someone who's never traded in the futures market before, certainly. And for us as technicians, the broader point here is that, again, whether we're looking at cocoa or the S&P or Facebook, name your asset. They all trade exactly the same way. Asset doesn't matter. Time frame doesn't matter. Here we're working on a 3-day and a 1-day. We could be we're looking at a 3-minute and a 1-minute. It would be the exact same thing. That's what I'm trying to convey as aggressively as I can to tell you that so many of you guys know us from crypto, but don't get locked into a crypto only mode. You can take this once you develop this skill set, you can apply it to any asset. They all trade exactly the same way. So part of it, the reason we make a point of showing you these traditional assets is to document that for you, so you don't have to wonder about it. Again, it doesn't matter. So I come in, I let the members vote. It doesn't matter to me what they want to see, because it's going to be the exact same thing. It always is the same. So until that changes, right? I'm telling this is how the markets move. Right? You can disagree with me all you like. I'll take the other side of your trade. All right, guys, let's wrap it up there. That's 12 minutes. That's probably enough here. So let's just reminder, we've got this contest running, and you can look at the link underneath this video to look for that little entry. It's a random drawing. So if you do things like tweet it, share it, join our public Discord, some things to it, just engage with us, you'll get additional entries. Right? So the more entries, better your odds of winning. All right, so consider that. You can always learn more about us over on our website. That's Trade Devils with an S, tradedevils.com. And with that, we'll wrap it for the day. All right, guys. Talk to you.